But switching gears, Chuck, to something that was presented that got the football fraternity in this country talking, as we do love comparing players and those player debates in terms of who is better than who are you taking over the other player. And of course, Thulani Serero is back in the country. He didn't make his debut for Cape Town City over the weekend, but he's going to be playing for Cape Town City. And one of the broadcasters put it across to all of us, and I want to put it across to you. Prime Thulani Serero versus Prime Themba Zwane. Who you got?
Man, I was thinking about this as you're posing the question, and I don't know who pulls away, because there's a recency bias in terms of watched Mshishi for the last 5-6 years, and it was just Mshishi. Yes, Krim was overseas, but we weren't seeing him play football, and I have to then compare him to Krim 10 years back, and so I have to now check out my file with how much do I remember of Krim. And I mean, he was at the forefront of the Ajax Cape Town and everything that was good, and they had somewhat of a golden generation, right, in the team that he was playing in terms of when you look at the careers and the exploits of the guys who were playing around him. But so did Mshishi as well, right, as everyone keeps complaining about Sundowns buying all the best talent. So they were both in good teams, but they both shone in those teams, or they both were the stars of the respective sides. But Jay, when I look at consistency, longevity, because I mean, I have to use some criteria to pull in some direction, right? Consistency, Themba Zwane. I want to be critical in terms of there are so many times where you're like, Mshishi shoot, and he's never quite had that in his locker where he's taking half the amount of chances that were presented to him. He'd rather pass the ball, whereas Krim is more direct with his play. Let me try do this. Just. Wait, can I even say this? I was saying Ngobumnandi is Cream, right?
You saw that, man. So
I'm like, what now? No, I think it's different things, Jay. With Cream, Ngobumnandi bo dribble, just going at the man and eliminating people and quick feet and just dropping the shoulder 1-2s, getting on the back of the ball and finishing. Whereas with Zwane, he could be isolated in the corner, leg touchline. You're like, I still some beautiful football. Like when Sundowns are playing, because I'm critical of Sundowns in terms of they don't do the Paris thing, but you ball at 3-0. But when they're passing the ball in their triangles and the crowd is on their feet, she's generally at the center of that, because number one, press resistant. Number two, she's got the flicks and touches. And he turned Hugo Broos's mind around in terms of, the guy is old, what. And after every Bafana game, Themba Zwane. So, I'm in a quagmire here, Jeff, because, you have to admit to Guti in his prime, Serero's scoring at Barcelona. Okay. Serero is a star player at Ajax, not part of it, not a squad player, one of the stars at Ajax Amsterdam. So, man, what do I say? Because also Mangcabanga is Bafana career. Themba Zwane has a better Bafana career than Serero.
He does.
But I don't want to just bring it to what let me just choose Mshishi. If I change my mind, I'm choosing Mshishi.
So, in my opinion, Themba Zwane is the greatest PSL player of all time when you consider his own talent and his displays, the level which he reached as an individual, but also the fact that he's been part of the absolute greatest dynasty South African football has ever seen, at least in the league. And that's why I think Themba Zwane is the PSL GOAT. When you ask me who is the greatest PSL player of all time, my answer is Themba Zwane. And then when you consider Themba Zwane and his exploits with Bafana, it came on a little later, most recently. And he's now up to 50 caps beyond for Bafana. And the thing is, for even over a decade, I'd probably say, like, there aren't many Bafana careers where it's like, it's a great legacy. I said this to you, that I don't think you can put anyone in the all-time Bafana 11 who's not part of that 1996 team, because what have you actually done? Like put your AFCON medal on the table. But Themba Zwane was part of the group and was a major part of that squad that went to the semi-finals, most recently under Hugo Broos. And he has become so vital to Bafana that when he went down with that injury, we, along with Coach Broos, were asking the question, who is going to come in for him? And Broos is on the record in terms of how vital Themba Zwane has become for him. And Cream doesn't have anything approaching that in terms of his time with Bafana. He also doesn't have anything truly approaching what Themba Zwane has done in the PSL. Mm-hmm. But he didn't spend all that time in the PSL. By the time he was, 21, he was gone to go play overseas. And that is not something that has ever truly happened for Themba Zwane, where, and even Chuck at his absolute pomp, right? Like when he was very clearly player of the season, like the best player in the country. This is Themba Zwane. You didn't quite hear chats around maybe he should go overseas. With Ukrim, immediately you saw it, you knew it, and the team that he was part of when he was playing in the PSL, Ajax Cape Town, that almost won a league title, those were kids that he was playing with, and amongst the kids, he was very clearly like the best one of them all. You put Cream in these Sundowns teams, like you would have been speaking about him the same way you speak about Themba Zwane, and even beyond, I do believe. And there's a reason he ended up at Ajax Amsterdam. There's a reason he spent all that time overseas. And when I speak about like his time with Bafana, think about the fact that something I said earlier in our conversation, that Thabo Cele is knocking on the door of Bafana. And I think if he continues performing this way to close out the season and then to start next season and Chiefs are even better than what they are right now, I think you could see Thabo Cele at the AFCON in December, especially also when you consider that the spot next to Umkwena might be a little up for grabs, But it took Thabo Cele coming back to the PSL, playing for Kaizer Chiefs, for the conversation around him and his national career being something that is up for discussion, where, he's on the brink of making the national team. It's not as if Thabo Cele suddenly became this player now playing under Unabi for Kaizer Chiefs. He always was this guy, but we didn't see him. And it feels as if, and when I say we, I'm not just talking about like fans, right? It feels as if you don't play in the PSL or in England or whatever the case may be, you kind of fall through the cracks with regards to making the national team. So I don't put that solely on Thulani Serero, because especially since he's moved to the Middle East, I don't know what he's looked like while playing there. And it feels as if even the people who select national players don't quite mind those players who are in those leagues, because if you're not in a league where they can readily see you, it feels like then you need to be in the PSL in order to be considered for Bafana. But where Cream is concerned, Chuck, I take Cream. Just based on like the heights I saw both of them reach. I think Cream was at a higher level at that point where he left South African shores. I still take Cream.